the most important thing is that the fundamentals for the UK economy are very strong. And yes, we've had the fall in inflation. We've also had jobs data, which says that we've got 200,000 more people in work than a year ago.
And when you look at... Can I say strong, despite the fact that the UK, I mean, may not be in recession now, but we've just been in recession. So yes, you would classify it as a strong economy?
No, I talked about the fundamentals of the UK economy. I was in New York last night. We have record foreign direct investment in the UK, more than anywhere else in the world apart from the United States and China. When it comes to growth, the IMF this week have said we will grow faster than France, Germany, Italy or Japan over the next 6 years. That is a big vote of confidence.
Yeah.
And when it comes to jobs, they're going up. And this is an election year, and you contrast that to the Labour Party, where Angela Rayner wants 70 new burdens on employers that will mean that small companies don't want to employ more people. So yes, I think the economy we are seeing has turned a corner. People are beginning to feel that, and that will continue, I think, during the course of this year. But the fundamentals for the UK economy, yes, are very strong indeed.
But do you have anything to say to people who, you know, they've been feeling this cost of living crisis for so long? Inflation, like I say, yes, it is coming down, but it's not quite going down as quickly as people expected. What kind of hope can you give them if they've been really struggling for this period?
Well, look at where we are compared to after Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, when we had inflation at 11%. The Bank of England saying we were going to have the longest recession in 100 years. The OBR saying that living standards were going to have their biggest decline in half a century. Since then, we've seen living standards go up. We've seen the economy more or less have a soft landing, with the IMF, as I say, saying we're going to grow faster than any other major European economy. We've seen the number of jobs going up. So these are economic indicators that show that the difficult decisions that we've taken, that the Bank of England have taken, have been the right ones. And if we stick to that plan, we can see that we will have better times ahead. We don't pretend that it's been tough. It's been very tough in the UK and in many other countries. But looking forward, I think one of the interesting things the IMF said is that the UK is very strong in artificial intelligence. We now have the biggest technology industry in Europe. That is a big positive for families up and down the country in the years ahead.
One of the issues that's under discussion here is what's happening with Iran. Are we going to have new tightened sanctions on Iran? I know that you've got a number of meetings here, but can you give us a sense of whether you're going to be pushing for more measures on Iran?
Well, I will be discussing that with my counterparts. I've got a meeting with Janet Yellen, the US Treasury Secretary, and we'll be discussing exactly that. What I would say is this. The talk 10 days ago was of the West drifting away from its support for Israel. But when Iran attacked Israel, Western support was rock solid. And if Iran takes action that destabilizes the global economy through what it does in the Middle East, then they will face concerted response from Western countries.
So are you going to be pushing for more sanctions at that
we
G7
will,
meeting?
I think G7 countries will be united in our response to what Iran has done and anything Iran may plan to do. So yes.
The US is talking about potential further tariffs on China, on Chinese aluminium, maybe potentially on Chinese cars. Is that something that the UK would be willing to do as well?
We've always believed in free trade. We were the country that invented or discovered the concept of free trade being very, very important. But the lesson of the pandemic, the lesson of Ukraine, is that you need to avoid dependencies in trade that can be used against us. And just as we learnt that energy dependence on Russia was a bad thing, so of course we have to review our trading relationships and make sure that when it comes to key technologies, we don't have unhealthy dependencies.
Including with China as well?
With all countries.
Final question, I'm being slightly waved up, but Liz Truss, just one line. What's your message to her? Is she being helpful right now for the Conservative Party?
Well, I think Liz will be the first to accept that during her time as Prime Minister, mistakes were made. She appointed me as Chancellor, and so, you know, I don't want to say anything negative about Liz Truss. I would just point out that since that time, when we had 11% inflation and absolutely dire predictions for the UK economy, we have taken very difficult decisions that have put things back on track, and we're going to stick to that plan.